I realise why Tex has become a commentator now. He's got out away from, so he's missing Cardi this year round, and Launceston won the toss and elected to kick to the town end, and it was a bit more than a breeze. It was quite a wind blowing, and I thought, well, this is going to see how good they are. But I'm afraid right from the outset, Launceston, which was to be proven later in the game, they were lacking probably, which they are, in more experienced players to settle them. They attacked, but it was haphazard. And their downfall, which it was to be for the rest of the game, was the Smithton big men. This Smithton side, they look one of the best balanced sides I think I've seen for a long while. They've got just enough big men to general them around the ground, and they've got a lot of young running players. And when I say young, people say Launceston's an inexperienced side. Well, I found out yesterday Smithton's got 4 or 5, 16, 17-year-old boys. Anyway, the first quarter rolled on, and Smithton was just, well, 4 points behind, I think, when the quarter-time siren rang. From then on, this big bloke that I was talking about, already in that first quarter, I had an assistant there, Shane, and he said, I said, Mark, his kicks, he run out of lead in about the first 10 minutes. But I wouldn't be joking, this bloke, they'll have to get him leather gloves for the simple reason he's going to blister his hands, I reckon. He handled the ball that many times. This is Wayne Carty, their coach. Very, very impressed, and that's how it went after a quarter-time. This big fella took over the game. He palmed the ball to perfection. He brought every player into the game, and this is something that I haven't seen a big man, in all due respects to you, Tex, I haven't seen a big man do for a long, long while. Talking to Phil Dell at half-time, and I said, where'd you get him from? What is he? I don't really know what his pedigree was in South Australia, but anyway, this bloke could play football here forever, I reckon, in Tasmania, the way the performance he put on. I know I'm raving on about him, but I was very, very impressed. And I was talking to Phil Dell at half-time, and he said, well, he hasn't kicked the ball a lot yet. Well, after half-time, he decided to have a few, and the same thing, he can kick at 60 or 70 yards.
Well, he played 11 years in the South Australian Football League senior division, so he must be pretty good.
Well, in football, that'd make him about 25 now then, wouldn't it? They always keep their age back. No, he's a very, very good footballer. But anyway, getting away from that, there's Knights, Corpushock, and players like this big Newman. And as I said, there's another one. Matter of fact, Tex was talking to me earlier about Berta. I think Berta's going to be lucky to get back into the side the way they're balanced at the present stage. And as I said, the further the game went, the further Smithton went ahead. The last quarter, the wind had dropped, but it didn't make any difference. These big men, they just give their little fellas a ride all round the ground. There's not a lot to talk on. As I said, I tried to look at Launceston, and I thought, well, yes, and I know they've got a couple of players to come back. They had tries in the Harris boys, Jason Cochran, young Rosendale, who kicked 4. I say to them, don't be disheartened. As I said, it was a big loss, I suppose, at this time of the year. But I think if they can get a couple of those more experienced players back into their side, Launceston, they're going to improve. They've got some tries. They've got some good young boys there. And as I said, that was the difference all day. Smithton had these blokes that could steady the game, and the big men that can control it. The little blokes, they must have bruised chests when they walked off the ground because they really dished the ball out to them. As I said, the end result was a walkover.
Well, they kicked 10 goals with a bruise on 2 occasions. Casey, 20 goals going to one end. That's not a bad performance.
No, well, I heard the coach speak at half-time. He said, well, I set you a 60-point win, he said, which I thought was stiff. He said, I've lifted it to 80 now. Well, they certainly did that, and they cruised home with 107. Well, I don't think they could do much better than that for him. But I was very impressed. I was impressed with the way that he handled his young players, the way that he spoke to them, and I think he's going to have a very, very good side there at Smithton.
Well, Casey, this is only the second round of the competition, and already 6 of the NWFU clubs are in the top 6 positions, and the other team is Burnie, who is down in 8th spot, and they thrashed Georgetown last week. Can you see a problem starting to emerge with the coastal sides dominating the competition, or do you think it's too early yet?
Well, as I said, it's probably a little early. I think there's some, as I said, Launceston, I know, are supposed to have 2 or 3 more of the experienced players coming back into their side. I don't know. I played in both competitions, and I think the thing is, Shane, that the Northwest Union, as it was, is always, they stick together so well. Here, we've got that many divisions, we've got that many people playing. Well, here I talk, I've got 2 sons playing amateur football, but these are the things that happen. But we're in the north. We've got to look at it. This is going to be a good competition. There's no doubt in the world about that. And as I said, we've got to stick together and we've got to get it firing.
So Smithton running out final winners, 25-13, 169 to Launceston, the disappointing 8-14-62, as we see highlights of the game.
Galpin gets the ball and comes out of the pack, gets the handball out towards the wing where Hoggett claims it. Hoggett finally gets the handball away. Ralston coming through onto the left boot in towards centre half forward. Barry Newman, screamer. Now Barry Newman will be looking for moves forward. He's got Scott Knight up there. Goes for the big drop punt kick right up in towards the full forward position. Knight can't take the ball. The ball comes out of the pack. Here comes Greg Ralston onto the right boot. Goal! Shane Lockett with the ball. Goes the handball up to the half-back flank. Finds Nichols. Now Nichols brings the ball back in towards centre half-back. Great mark, Gavin Coombe. Now Coombe goes to play on. Stupid play, Gavin Coombe. You've let the Blues in here. Pinnington with the ball. Kicks in towards full forward. Looking for McCrimmon. John McCrimmon, screamer. Now Rosendahl decides to play on. Gets the handball out to Michael Cook, the vice-captain of the Blues today. Now Cook dodges around. Has one bounce. Goes goalward. Oh, it's a big kick to it. It's a torpedo punt right into the square. Mark taken by Lockett. No, Lockett drops it. Oldenoff. Umpire Horton with the ball. Bounces it right in the centre of the ground. Up go the ruckman. Carty gets it down once again. Out to Triffett. Now Triffitt's kick comes out towards the outer side of the wing where Dwayne Galpin's leading in the race for the ball. Now he ducks and dives and goes for the handball over towards Scott Knight. Oh, a clever play by Scott Knight. Punches it on towards Greg Ralston. Ralston lines them up from around about 50 metres out from goal and puts another one through for Smithton. The Blues bring the ball out of the centre of the ground in towards centre half forward where we look for Tim Oldenoff. Takes a strong mark. Goes with the handball to Rosendahl. Rosendahl has two bounces. Lines up the goals from 40 metres out and puts another one through for the Blues. Ralston with the ball in the centre of the ground. He goes forward looking towards centre half forward where Kay comes out. Oh, drops an easy mark. Now Kay looking down forward. Turns around onto his right boot. Tiffin coming out from fullback will take the mark to the Blues. No, he drops it. Oh, Barry Newman's picked it up. Runs into an open goal and another one to Smithton. Peter Swain with the ball right in the middle of the ground. He comes across to this flank side of the ground where we see Dean Pinnington, the helmeted player. Now he goes to play on, has one bounce. Will he have two? No, looks over his right shoulder and goes in towards full forward position. Here comes the defensive Smithton. Oh, coming through the pack is Jason Wadley. Wadley loses control of the ball. Rosendale, the right foot snap. Goal! Harris's kick is punched away by O'Halloran. Running through here is Coombe. Can't control the ball. Here's Galper now. He finally gets control of the ball. Goes with a big handball out towards Scott Knight. Scott Knight will line up for goals from 50 metres out. No, he doesn't. Goes over to Barry Newman. And Newman kicks another easy goal for Smithton.
And the votes yesterday, Wayne Carty, 3, M. Hodgetts, 2, and D. Thorpe, 1.
Well, thanks very much, Casey, for your report on the game at Windsor Park between Launceston and Smithton. We'll be taking...
Looking for McCrimmon. John McCrimmon, screamer.
Brown for Penguin will drive them forward. He plays on straight away and then goes with a long kick.
At Launceston, 16-15, 1-1-1, defeated Deloraine, 14 goals, 8-92. Stephen Hortle was there to see the Launceston Blues get their first win of the season. Stephen, they did it pretty well.
Yes, Shane. Deloraine for 3 quarters really took the game away from Launceston, but in that last quarter, Launceston came back with Bellinger getting on top, Rosendale contributing well, and Cook, of course, being a dominant player all day. They went away, Launceston. They used the ball better, and they outscored the Roos.
And in the other big match along the coast, we had the Penguin side playing at home to East Devonport. East Devonport unbeaten during the season so far, and they travelled down to Penguin and were hoping to inflict another defeat on the Blues, and they did so. Grant Orford.
Yes, Shane, a little Scot at the South Burney Bowls Club by the name of Jimmy Young told me that height is only measured from the neck up. And with this in mind, Penguin, who has no respect for height, weight, size or reputations, battled it out right to the wire with East Devonport in a hard-fought, entertaining and sometimes spectacular game of football.
So they ran out pretty good winners, East Devonport, in the finish, and they've got some top players. They've recruited well over the summer, and they look like going on and being one of the early favourites for the NTFL flag. Well, Steve, Launceston, they struggled early in the year. Now they've got one win under their belt. Can they go on with the job?
Well, I think they can certainly improve on yesterday's effort. They let Deloraine dominate the game for the first 3 quarters, but really I was very surprised with Delorain's effort yesterday. It was a pleasing effort for 3 quarters, but that last quarter they just went missing. And unfortunately, they played in that last quarter like they did last week, Shane, when they were soundly beaten. Early in the game, Deloraine really went ahead. Thomas marked everything that went near him, especially in the back line. He took a lot of great, strong marks there and fed the ball out quickly with handball to the Hewitt boys, who played very well. And on their back line, they had Mark Aylett. He played very well, along with Wells, who I thought was on top of Bellinger early in the game. And even after, when Bellinger kicked 3 goals in the second quarter, Wells continued on and battled and tried hard. Moya, of course, he's just a brilliant player that we know he is. He dominated for Deloraine, but finally, these players, they ran out of legs. I thought that Deloraine were underdone in fitness, and Launceston with Rosendale, who the 7-minute mark of the second quarter was shifted off Clayton, and he went onto the forward line for the Blues and immediately had a hand in a couple of goals, kicked one himself, and became a very good player. This player on screen then, Butler, he went to full back for the last half of the game and was a very good player for the Blues, although I must admit that the chap he was on is skipper. I think he wears a size 48 Guernsey, and unfortunately he fills it out to its fullest extent. I'd like to see him lose a stone and get in the play more, and he would be a better player for the Roos. Clayton, a very good game yesterday, 4 quarters of football from this chap. I was very pleased with his effort, and he was totally disappointed after the game, as was Coach Craig Coombs, who refused, or perhaps couldn't say anything to the players, because he was probably dumbfounded with their lacklustre effort in that last quarter. But all in all, I thought that Launceston thoroughly deserved their game, the win. They, even early in the game when they were goals behind, they seemed to click and get the goals when they pushed forward, because Bellinger could take the strong mark, and with Rosendale going up there, Parker at full forward, fast, leading out, and with Squires, Pennington, and the bloke Carley who came on in the second quarter, I would say that Carley was the best player on the field in the last half. Excellent game from Graham. He got the ball. When he got it, he drove it long into attack, and this allowed the forwards for Launceston to make the moves, get a couple of yards break on their opponents, and that was enough for them to get the ball and force it through for goals. And really, it put Deloraine under such pressure that they weren't able to recover. Ayler kept battling. Wells, he tried hard, as I said, but really it was Deloraine who collapsed in that last quarter. They didn't score from about the 20-minute mark in the third quarter, whereas in the last quarter, Launceston kicked, I think, 3 goals, 10, and should have had probably 7 or 8 goals out of that chain. But I was very pleased with the way Launceston fought it out, and unfortunately I can't really say the same for Deloraine, because they just went missing in that last quarter, in the vital last quarter.
Cook's made a brilliant return to Launceston. He was in the best players again yesterday.
Yes, Cookie, a 4-quarter player, this fellow, their vice-captain of Launceston, and he just kept going all day. And Scotty, his first game in, he'll be a better player with that game under his belt. He lacked a little bit of match fitness yesterday, but Cook, Squires, Pennington, blokes like this, they were very good players and really put Launceston in the game.
Thomas has made a big return back from the amateurs, and must be one of the, well, certainly the focal point for Deloraine. He's the main instigator of their moves.
Yes, he is. We see him there on screen taking a mark right on the right on the line, and he did that on probably 7 or 8 occasions yesterday, held Launceston out. But in the end, I thought that young Oldenoff, who was a good battler for Launceston yesterday, I thought that as the game went on, Oldenoff got on top of Thomas in the actual tap-outs, that Tomo was doing a lot better work around the ground with his experience.
So Deloraine, after leading by 3 goals at half-time, collapsed in the last half, and Launceston ran out winners 16 goals 15, 111, to Deloraine 14 goals 8, 92, and in doing so scored their first win of the year and left Deloraine back at the bottom of the ladder without a win to their credit so far. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from yesterday's second half.
Cameron Matthews kicks up towards the wing. Waiting there is Phil Moyer. Phil Moyer onto the left boot, gets the ball over to Hewitt. Hewitt dummies around onto his left boot and towards full forward. Skipper can't take the mark. Oh, here come the Blues. Oh, Deloraine messed up through Claxton. Claxton should have nearly scored there. The ball hits the ground. Skipper gets the handball out to Hewitt. Hewitt lines up, scores the first goal of the match to Deloraine. Here's the bounce. It's a good bounce too. Neither ruckman get the advantage. Oldenoff taps it out. The ball comes out to Tubb onto his left boot and towards full forward, looking for Skipper. Skipper can't take the mark. It's dropped, picked up. Handball comes out to Claxton. Claxton on his left boot. Great snap. Another goal to Deloraine as the Kangaroos try to clear the ball away there through Hewitt. Hewitt can't get boot the ball. Players all around the ball as the ball finally comes out as far as Squires. Squires goes the handball to Cook. Cook can run into an open goal. 40 metres out. Lines them up. Goal to the Blues. Clayton looks forward. Has he got any moves forward? Soon find out the big kick he goes for in towards Skipper. Skipper at the back. They have any trouble with the distance. Directions are one. Here we go. It's a good kick to Edgy. It's a good kick. Will it make the distance? No. It's punched forward. The ball comes out as far as Cook. Handball across to Bellinger. Bellinger swings around on his left foot, has a snap. What a great goal! Kenny fine mark. Goes back in towards centre half forward. Up high. Takes the mark. Deloraine. Handball comes out wide. Comes out as far as Anthony Loon. Loon drops the ball. Now he doubles back to try to get hold of it. Finally picks it up. Loses his footing onto his right foot. Runs in towards an open goal. 40 metres out and bangs another one through for the Kangaroos. Here's the bounce down centre of the ground. Thomas up high. Gets the tap. He gets the advantage. Scott, though, gets it onto his right foot and towards centre half forward. Coming out the meter to Rosendale. Rosendale turns around onto his right foot. Goes in forward to Parker. Parker moves in. Shouldn't miss this one. And doesn't. There's the Blues third. Comes out wide to Hewitt. Thomas. Here come the Blues through Scott. Scott's a skillful player. Goes in forward as far as Rosendale. Rosendale goes the handball to Squires. Squires handballs over to Neville. Neville turns around, handballs it back towards Rosendale. Rosendale goals for the Blues.
3-2-1. I gave 3 to Cook yesterday for Launceston. Tremendous four-quarter effort. Dale Tubb, 2 votes. Never gave up to the Roos. And Phil Moyer for his constructive play.
He's not as he gets the ball to Borlini. Borlini goes long, looking for Honeybun, and a great mark, Honeybun. Where this is going to allow Schultz an opportunity to clear the ball. He does so to the half-back line. Oh, the flyer from behind taking a superb mark was Shane McCoy. Perry, right through centre half forward, is looking for Tim Allen. Allen comes from behind and just crashes into the back of Gary Carpenter. He's dispossessed of the football, however. A little short distance kick is going to go in. Brown takes a good mark, climbs over the back of the pack.
Across to Wells. Richard Wells in towards the centre of the ground. Peter Scott. Has he got any moves forward? We'll soon find out. The big kick he goes for in towards Skipper. Skipper at the back. Waiting here is Rod Thomas. Thomas goes in towards centre half forward. Out comes, oh, great mark for the Blues. Grant Tuttle.
Some great marks taken yesterday in the NTFL as we check the other best and fairest voting for the other
game. Very few spectators, only the trainers and the kiosk staff at Windsor Park.
201 in the paper.
201. Yes, well, I could probably agree with that. Launceston, yes, they bounced away yesterday and looked the goods at quarter time and continued into the second quarter playing quite well. In the first quarter, they had 3 goals on the board before Bernie scored. But they used the ball better. They were on top in the rucks and they were looking for their big men in Walsh, Rosendale, Oldenoff, these sorts of blokes. They weren't young Oldenoff there. A very good game yesterday from young Tim. He played very well. Mark Harris yesterday was in superb form at centre half back for Launceston, and I thought that all throughout the day he was the stumbling block for Bernie. For Bernie, back Johnson, Munro, Loring. Loring, I thought, was a brilliant player. After the first quarter, he went into the centre and he really took Launceston apart. Whenever he got the ball, he looked for Beaumont up forward, and Beaumont didn't let him down, and then they relayed it between them down to Shane Walker at full forward. And between Beaumont and Shane Walker yesterday, 13 goals. It was a superb effort from their forward line, and Launceston backs were under tremendous pressure all day, and Cochrane, even though he played on Beaumont, and Beaumont kicked 6 from the flank, I thought that Cochrane never gave up. He kept trying, and with Harris lending great support there, these 2 players tried hard all day. But it was the overall probably experience and strength of Bernie which took the game away, especially in that third quarter where they kicked 8 goals to 2. In the second quarter, it was Shane Walker who kicked 4 goals and lifted the Bernie side, got them back in the game. Half-time they were 15 points behind, and they converted this into a 22-point lead at three-quarter time by Beaumont kicking 3, Walker and Guy Gray chipping in for 2 in the third quarter as well, Shane.
Mark Harris, seen here flashing in and out of the play. He's certainly been a good acquisition back to the club.
Yes, I had a lot of time for him as a full-back before he went away to the country, Shane. He's come back a better player now, I believe, and moving out to the key centre half-back position this year, he's not letting the Launceston side down, and he's willing to give the hand pass out and run and receive the hand pass, as well as take the big mark and drive the ball long. And Launceston, if they drive the ball long, deep into that forward line, they would probably play better. But yesterday, after quarter time, Carley, Parker and chaps like this, they went out of the game, and they weren't getting the drive from around the centre or the other positions on the ground, and this didn't give their forward line, their big chaps up forward, the chance to win the ball.
So Bernie, with their 8 goals in the third term, ran away with the game and ran out final winners by 28 points. The final score was 20-14. to Burnie to Launceston, 16 goals 10, 106.
Right, waiting at the back, takes a good mark, Craig Davies. Davies centres the ball, goes into the centre of the ground to Bellinger. Bellinger takes a strong one. He's met heavily by Munro. Now Bellinger goes onto his left foot, goes further afield in towards the centre half forward position. Coming out, meeting the ball is Cook. Cook handballs out into open spaces, punched away there by Cayley. No one can pick the ball up at the moment as Reynolds is in there. The umpire's blown the whistle, said held the ball too long, and the Blues to get the free kick here. Now the ball goes in towards centre half forward, waiting in there, takes the mark. This is Oldenoff. Oldenoff takes off, winds up the goals, shoots straight. First goal on the board to the Blues. Now Walsh takes the ball out of the pack himself and swings it onto his right boot in the direction there of Davies. Doesn't go that far as Gary Munro gets hold of it. Munro onto his right boot, goes in towards Beaumont. Can Beaumont take mark? Now the handball's shredded out. The Blues down through the centre into war. Oh, up high was Bellinger. Couldn't take the mark once again. Parker tried to run through and get control of it. Now here's Bellinger using his skill. Geez, a clever player, Glenn Bellinger. Gets hold of it, turns around onto his left boot, sees the teammate in Cook. Cook takes the mark, could have played on, decided to stop and prop, and will go back and have a direct shot at goals. Michael Cook moves in, kicks a great kick, and another goal to the Blues. Uses his pace now. He's a clever player when he uses his skill. Cardi goes into Ian Stewart. Stewart, the blonde-headed player, handballs to Cook. Back to Stewart. Stewart onto his right boot. Comes out and finds McCrimmon. Now decides to go long in towards full forward. From the back. Oh, mark. Great mark taken for Launceston. Tim Oldenoff doesn't let him down. Takes the mark. Decides to use his pace and play on. Playing good football, Launceston. Cochrane handballs to Squires. Squires has one bounce. He's got time to have another bounce if he wants to. Dummies the handball. Gets stumped behind play. The umpire continues play as Cody barges in there. Squires follows it up and taps it on in front of him as Smith comes out for Burnie. Loses control of it, Smith. Handball from Stewart. Back to Stewart for McCrimmon. McCrimmon to Stewart. Stewart lines up. Another goal to Launceston, and that's their 8th goal.
After yesterday's game when Burnie played, I was prompted to ask Shane if I could speak regarding comments I made last week regarding the fact that the Burnie Tigers had refused to let their players go and watch the Burnie Hawks play. I had representations from the club during the week to explain the reasons, and I think it's worth me mentioning them here today. Both Coach Jerry Howard and Laurie Howard intimated to me that there was no threats or pressure. or pressure at all on the players to not to go to the game. It was simply a part and parcel of their preparation for their game on Sunday. They didn't want their players going to the ground and coming out then on Sunday not being prepared thoroughly for their big clash. As far as I was concerned, I was quite happy to accept their explanation, and I hope that the Burnie Hawks officials and players do accept that too as the reason, and that the good feeling that currently exists between the club continues, because it's very, very important for the Burnie Hawks now to have the support of the Burnie Tigers.
So Burnie, after their win yesterday, have moved up to 3rd place in the ladder. We'll be back after this break to check more details.
Towards full forward. From the back. Oh, mark. Great mark taken for Launceston. Tim Oldenoff. Now Walsh takes the ball out of the pack himself and swings it onto his right boot in the direction there of Davies. Doesn't go that far as Gary Munro gets hold of it. Munro onto his right boot, goes in towards Beaumont. Can Beaumont take mark? Generally a good kick, Parker. He'll get this right up into towards the square. Players have flown in there now. Moves in. It's a big kick. Geez, put a good right foot drop punt right up into the square. Man up high. Who's taking the mark? Bellinger, is it?
Opportunity for Craig Carey. He picks up the ball, dodges to the left and right, then finally steadies, but a mark is taken there, and East Devonport away through Stephen Dell. And Gardner for East Devonport will take the free kick. He's going to kick the ball long. Honeybun from behind takes a superb mark. Don't think the man's fully fit. Wide, there's Mullett. He goes for the hand pass over the top to a player on the ground. There's Michael Haywood, and from that half-back line, he crunches it down towards Honeybun.
Well, because of the combined game being played today, there were no votes in yesterday's round of matches, so that's disappointing for the players that played well, but to be fair on the guys that are away, we've suspended the voting for 1 week. Let's check the overall best and fairest award now. Of course, the winner's going to Enderley Gardens, compliments of Ansett Airlines of Australia, and Wayne Carty, the Smithton coach, is still on top there with 10 votes. Robbie Lavelle of Penguin with 8, and then 3 players on 6, Taylor, Loring and Wright.
The NTFL Best and Fairest will receive...
The winner was number 1, Young West, starting at 5 to 1, $2.60 to win and $1.20 for a place. Second was number 2, Newstead Lad at 7 to 2, paid $1.30. And third was number 3, Historic Lad, 7 to 2, and that paid no third dividend. The on-course Quinella, $18.60. Time for the journey, 3:15, and the margins ahead by 10 metres. Now on for the fourth event, over 2,420 metres.
Jill Collins from programs was telling me she remembers that leather jacket.
It was, yeah, someone took it. She's probably got it.
What about the haircut?
The haircut, well, we saw Glenn Fairs a few weeks ago, so I suppose it's only fair. Pretty embarrassing, isn't it?
Not really. Well, I mean, you're only a kilo youth then, Shane. How old were you in 1978, if I can ask
78, oh, about 10, I reckon.
No. Anyway, you've come a long way since then. What have you got for us?
What have we got? Well, I suppose we can take the risk here. I think we've got the boss, the big boss, David McQuestion in his early days.
Well, don't worry, I'll back you up. Don't worry about that. You know I'll back you up.
I bet you do. Straight out the door, yeah. Anyway, apparently David and Darryl Bullock used to have some classic times when they were interviewing, when David was interviewing Darryl in their early days. And let's have a look at one of those now with David McQuestion interviewing the Latrobe super coach, Darryl Bullock.
Don't start the hell you're going.
Right. Darryl, the state grand final, how's Latrobe going to line up for this game?
Oh, I think they should line up all right, David. We've trained pretty well, and the boys are still holding their keenness, and I think they should do all right.
Darryl, you've had another couple of weeks layoff. You had 2 weeks before the grand final and 2 weeks this time. What about the condition of the boys?
Well, they're in pretty good condition, David. As good as you... I do that, David. You started just before we... Yeah, I thought it was quite good.
Hey, oh, 600 pounds. Ah, 600 pounds. But he said you told me Friday night. Well, I said I didn't.
Who won the 600 pounds?
No, it was on the football.
Ah, yes, I
When
know.
did it win?
I know something too. Yes, I know something too. Yes, Borlock won $600, didn't he? When he sold the bloody game to William. Yeah. Hey, hold on a minute now.
You smell the rat.
And then he goes and buys coin.
You smell the rat there, didn't you? You smell the rat there.
Yeah.
You smell the bloody rat there.
Get a shot of him.
Hey. They'll both be employed next week, then.
Yeah, your resignation hasn't been tendered yet. You'll be right, Shane.
No, he's got a great sense of humour, David, and let's just hope he has. Let's hope he's still got it, and that's some of David's early days when he was doing the same job we're doing.
Yes, well, I hope over the next few weeks we can continue showing Blast from the Past from the film department. We're getting great cooperation from them, and I'm sure people get a lot of enjoyment from it.
We might have to write to Melbourne and get something about you.
You've got nothing that's very old about me, you know. Well, I'm only 19, turn it up.
You've had your hair cut.
Yeah, great, isn't it?
Now, we went out to Mowbray on Friday night and saw Peter Kay syndicate another horse, and what's become a very successful venture for him.
Certainly has. Peter's got about 3 or 4 syndicates together now, Shane, and, well, it seems to be the thing for racing these days with the rather exorbitant cost of training a pacer, and we're getting a few inquiries here about a TAS TV syndication system or something similar, so perhaps something we might be able to look into.
Yes, if anyone's interested in joining a TAS TV or World of Sport syndicate, if they'd like to write into Peter or myself, post office box is 873 here in Launceston, and we might be able to get a champion Pure Steel or one of those.
Yeah, well, if we can get a hell whistle, do me. Incidentally, I must just congratulate Darryl Bullock's fine coaching effort. We saw Darryl a little earlier. With the St Kilda's second win of the season, admittedly, Shane, but it was great to see the Saints get above Richmond.
Yeah, well, they've had certainly been under a bit of pressure, haven't they, lately? And Darryl's come in for quite a bit of pressure. Apparently, he's been misquoted on a few occasions in the press in Melbourne. He's not too happy about that, but he soon put them straight, and let's hope St Kilda can go on with the job.
Yeah, we'll keep Richmond there down the bottom. Of course, today, your selection, the Swans, are you going to stick with him?
No, I've never stuck with the Swans. I'm a Hawthorn man. When it comes to Swans and Hawthorn, of course, Carlton won again yesterday, naturally.
Yes, yeah. Don't get too keen. I think the Swans will beat Hawthorn today.
Well, let's check the VFL ladder. And we see Carlton on top with 20 points. The Swans and Hawthorn sitting in second and third spot. So if the Swans win, they'll go to the top. If Hawthorn win, we'll have three sides on top with the 20 points. Melbourne just inside the 5. Isn't that good to see after the long period they've spent at the bottom of the ladder on 16? Fitzroy's in there with 16. Just outside the 5, Eagles and North Melbourne, and there is